What do you say, baseball fans? Rye Bread talking baseball, episode 29, East-West weekend. A couple of picks and beauty pitching matchups today. Got to start with the Rays, sweeping the Angels. Angels had good Heaney on the mound and still managed to blow it late and drop a sweep, 4 games to the Rays and just catapult them into their series with the A's. The Angels are in trouble. 4.5 games back, negative 32 run differential. Of course, they just lost a 4-gamer, so losing 7 of your last 10 kind of makes sense. But going forward, you've got the Dodgers for 3, at Houston for 3, at Boston for 3, and then at home for Cleveland, a team that's right now the hottest team in baseball, winners of 8 of their last 10, and first place in the Central. And they haven't even played Oakland yet. The Angels are in trouble. And the timing of releasing Pujols right now, that's bold. Would you be surprised if the Angels lost their series to LA, Houston, and Boston? I think it's unlikely they win any of those series. And the timing is going to look rough if this losing streak continues, which is very likely to happen. The Dodgers are angry. They haven't been playing well either. The Dodgers are looking to get right, and they want to prove that LA's their town. Angels are in a rough spot right now, and I think you can just look in the mirror. That press conference that I saw when they were trying to explain away why they released Pujols and everything, man, that thing fell super flat for me. I'll let you make your own judgments, but wow, not a great look for the Angels right now, and it's not getting any easier. But everybody can see that one coming, except for the fact that how tough their schedule goes for the next 15 games. It's going to be dangerous. They need to win some of these ball games, and the way they're playing right now, I don't see how you could expect them to do that. For real. The Astros are reeling a bit, but they're heading home, and I still think that's the toughest place to play. They're going to host the Jays, which in line with what we're talking about here, East-West, battled back and got a split from Oakland. They were in trouble out there. Got bad news on Springer, but they won behind their guy, and they're heading into this Astros series feeling pretty good about salvaging that 4-game set. And the Astros probably feeling a little bit of momentum, finally getting one at the Yankees there. Altuve hit a big home run, shook off the boos. He was getting ridden hard. But buy the ticket, take the ride. I don't feel sorry for them. I kind of felt good seeing him overcome like that. Because it seems like he's a pretty good guy, and it was getting to him at the end. It was getting kind of rough at the end, and it was clearly bothering him. So I'm glad he got one. Rays, what can you say? Looking tough. Everybody they seem to throw out there seemed to work against the Angels. Man, it's a bad look for the Angels. Anybody the Rays put out there seemed to... That's all right. That'll work. And they got Hill going tonight. Rich Hill keeps producing. And at Oakland is the best park for Rich Hill to be pitching in. It lines up all right for them. And Manaya's got a bad taste in his mouth when he sees those Rays jerseys. You know he remembers. I remember. And, of course, you get a chance to watch Dallas Braden and Kipe. I love B.A. and Dwayne. I'll be switching back and forth. Great telecast, both. But why not take the advantage to switch it up a bit? We talk about that a lot on his show. Look at some of the other announcers, man. There's a lot of good teams out there. I'll leave it there. Yankees are going to have a set with the Nationals, but they appear to be back. Giancarlo Stanton's hitting the cover off the ball. Will Middlebrooks did a great piece on that. Touch power. And how Giancarlo's cut down his stroke. And he's raking. That dude is a monster. And if he's using 50% of his stroke, he still hits it 400 feet. The Yankees are looking tough. They look back. And I don't think that was ever a question. It was a question of when and if they were going to dig themselves a big hole like they have in the past. And right now it's all up for grabs in the East and this West thing that we're tracking, right? Boston and Baltimore have a set together. That's obviously plays into all this. Baltimore handed Boston an opening game punch in the mouth, opening series punch in the mouth. And then Boston got hot, but man, did they look rough against the Tigers at home. We got one last night, or yesterday. Boston exploded late, got some runs, and finally. But it was a rough-looking series for Boston. They did not look like a first-place team against a last-place team. Tigers' run differential is like negative 60-something, and Boston made it look like a tough matchup. And Baltimore's not laying down for anybody. We talked about it a lot. Harvey's pitching at home, and he's looking pretty sharp so far. Boston's got to win some of these games. And like I said before, I keep dismissing Baltimore. That's not working out. Baltimore keeps winning. They're not going to just lay down for anybody, at least not yet. Baltimore surprised the heck out of me. And speaking of surprises, so does Pittsburgh. We'll get to that later. Pittsburgh's playing better than I thought. And that's a nice, tasty over-under in that Cubs game I'm going to get to. But just to wrap it up here in that East-West thing. Rays headed to Oakland. Oakland's kind of had Jays right where they wanted them, and they let them off the hook. And they let them off the hook! We are who they thought they were! And then, or they are who we thought they were. And then Astros and Jays, Boston and Baltimore, and New York has a set with the Nationals that I expect them to handle now that they're hitting again. The matchup of the weekend, though, for me, is still San Diego and San Francisco. That's a great one. The first place Giants. I don't care when the game happens in the season. If you're playing directly for first place, it matters. Snell and DeSclafani, I wish I had the stones to take San Francisco, but I don't. I think that these teams are both better at home than on the road. It's going to be tune-in television, though. I expect that to be a good atmosphere. San Francisco, some of the best fans in Major League Baseball will be in it. Another one, Colorado at St. Louis. You might give that a pass normally, but there's going to be good pitching in this game, I think. You've got Colorado and Gomber. He's a young stud. And then Flaherty, the ace for the Cardinals. Cardinals hosting Colorado, obviously a big one there for Nolan Arenado, hosting his former mates. That's probably worth a check. And then the picks, nothing too fancy today. I was telling you, Pittsburgh's underrated. They're not a great team by any means, but they're underrated. And it's Cahill at Davies. Cahill, ERA 7.4. Davies, ERA 8.2. Davies, 17 strikeouts, 18 walks with a whip over 2. I realize it's a day game at Wrigley and there's a chance for shadows, and you might want to wait to bet this until you see the weather. It says partly cloudy, but as I've referenced before, I feel more comfortable talking about a game that I have already bet. I just feel more comfortable discussing on the show that way. So I bet that one already. So I like the over 7.5 Pittsburgh and Chicago Cubs. That's a day game. And that's a minus 109. But I mean, basically even. That just makes sense that goes over when you look at those ERAs. Zac Gallen at Peterson. You've got the Diamondbacks that I keep talking up. I'm like, oh, the Diamondbacks are better than I thought. The Diamondbacks are better than I thought. And then we've got a situation here where I feel I have the better pitcher. I know there's travel. I've watched Gallen. He's young. 27 strikeouts to, I think it's 10 walks. He's got his control in a place where he can be effective. 3.48 earned run average. The record's 1-1. They've treated him with kid gloves a bit. But I think I get the better pitcher here. Diamondbacks at Mets. Wow. It just sounds weird. But I like the price. I think I have the better pitcher in Gallen. And it's plus 118. And that's obviously a strategy. It doesn't take long to figure out. If you have the better pitcher, in your estimation, you have a better chance to win. And I think the difference between Gallen and Peterson here is enough to warrant the bet. So there we are. It's plus 118. It's not huge, but it's still a dog. So when you have a dog and the better pitcher, I like to look that way. Lots of good action today. I'm going to be on Twitter if you want to get at me. Obviously, we got something on that game. At RyeBread0844. Don't forget, Sunday Fun Day out there in Itaewon, Seoul, South Korea, line 6. And Bascom's Chop House, Clearwater, Florida. Best steak in the city, best wine list in the city. It's not my opinion, that's the awards. They win there. Tell them I sent you, you won't regret that. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks for checking us out. We're going to do 162.